welcome to Story Unfolds. In keeping with the festive season, we are here today to talk about politics with a difference. You know, whether it is bringing toilets or Swachh Bharat into the political narrative, or talking about actually fighting elections on issues like development over caste. How feasible is that in India today? To discuss this with me, I have from the BJP, the party spokesperson GVL Narasimha Rao. From the Congress, there is the irrepressible Manishankar Aiyar to take on Mr. Rao, I think. And from the BJD, there is Jay Panda, the MP from Orissa. And also we have Dilip Cherian, the image guru. I'm going to begin with you, Mr. Aiyar. You know, Modi has tried to do his best. He's brought, the Swachh Bharat into the political narrative. He's even taken a broom and swept the streets of Delhi. How feasible, and why didn't the Congress think of this?
We thought of it about a century ago.
But you didn't do anything.
And it has done a great deal about it. And it is certainly not by Prime Ministers picking up brooms that we'll get a Swachh Bharat. It is by looking at the experience of the last 15 years of the total sanitation campaign followed by the Nirmal Bharat Abhiyan, understanding what are the lacuna that have been discovered as a process of implementation, and essentially two things. One, that the motivation to use a toilet is more important even than building the toilet, because recent studies have shown that well over half the people who do have a toilet in the home, at least one member of the family doesn't use it. And very often there are views that the home is God's home and therefore it's unclean to have a toilet in it.
So fair enough.
So a massive motivation campaign is required. The second thing that one has to understand is that this has to be organized at the community level, for which the Panchayat Raj institutions just have to be used.
I knew this
and
would
the
go back to the
absence of
Panchayat
using
Raj.
the Panchayat Raj institutions means that it will continue to be a bureaucratically run problem.
But why didn't the Congress do it? You have all the ideas.
Forget why the Congress didn't do it. The Congress was the one which should have done it. And why this, if you want to indulge in a blame game, then you're welcome to. I'm pointing out that what is being done now is ignoring the experience of 15 years, pretending that it's a new program, and not appreciating that there's more to Swachh Bharat than a photo op.
Dilip, do you agree? He's ignoring, because he's given credit to the Congress, or he's...
At the risk of, inviting money's ire, one, the motivation for using the toilet, using a toilet usually comes from within, okay? Using it outside or within, inside the home, whatever it is.
That's where the motivation comes, that you have to explain, motivate. Many mothers don't believe that open defecation is harmful to the health of their children. This has to be sat and explained evening after evening in the Gram Sabha. And I think that is the only way it can be done.
Going to the more substantial issue, I think that Swachh Bharat is, toilets are only one aspect of Swachh Bharat. And I think that the BJP, by bringing it into a kind of speech from Red Fort onwards, I think has started on a good thing, and it needs to conclude it with the Make in India program, whereas we have to make things which do not ruin either the atmosphere or nature or pollute our rivers even more. Meaning, in fact, manufacturing and human habitation are the two primary causes of massive ecological damage. So they have to look at it at a much larger piece. The photo ops are definitely not it, but the motivation has to come from the top. Unfortunately, in this country, the bureaucracy is not capable of doing this. Gram Sabhas are a wonderful hope to aspire to, but unless the man at the top really believes it and acts on it, it ain't going to happen.
The man at the top, what Dilip is saying, he's saying can be done by panchayats, but you need the motivation from the top. Is Modi only doing the photo ops, or do you feel that there is more to him?
I think what has become clear in these 5 months is that the Prime Minister is very good at setting the agenda. Now, these are not new issues. As Mani pointed out, these are issues that for decades we have been discussing in India. And yet he seems to have seized on these issues. And not just these issues. He's seizing on personalities who have contributed to these issues in past decades. They may have been Congress personalities or they may have been other personalities. He's appropriating them. And I think there has to be a degree of admiration for the way he's going about it. Now, I agree that you have to take the motivation.
Admiring look you're getting from Mr.
No, my
Aiyar.
point is, Manishankar Aiyar is right that it has to be followed up with not just hardware is not enough. Just building toilets or building other facilities is not enough. You have to motivate people to use them. But I don't think we should be so dismissive of so-called photo opportunities, because photo ops are messages. It's a way of messaging that this is being taken seriously from the top itself. What is important is that there must be follow-up. Now, if this is a one-off and then the Prime Minister forgets about it, a year goes by and nothing happens, obviously there will be ridicule. But something tells me that this is not something that's just about a photo op. I suspect that there is going to be some sustained effort, and not just about cleaning India. As I said, seizing the initiative, setting the agenda, whether it is economic policy, whether it is pushing for a certain kind of political support in the campaigns. He's a brilliant communicator, so you have to give him credit for that.
Something tells you. I'm going to let someone tell you. About Modi's fall, is he going to be sustaining this, or is he more of, a gimmick? Are we going to expect, what's the next step in your Swachh Bharat Abhiyan?
I think if there is one thing that should be completely crystal clear about the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, in his 12 years as the Chief Minister and last 5 months as the Prime Minister, he does not believe in only things to publicize himself. He does things with a clear conviction. And the kind of motivation that Mr. Iyer is talking about is absolutely required. And what better way to start right from the Prime Minister level? On August 15, from the ramparts of the Red Fort, the Prime Minister talks about this as a major issue, and talks about, and then follows it up with a series of initiatives. The entire government machinery gets involved in this, and he repeatedly says, I totally agree with him, these changes cannot be simply kind of pushed down from the top. I think Mr. Modi talks about societal involvement of people. He says unless you make it a people's movement, you cannot expect massive improvements. And that's what Mr. Modi is really aiming for.
I'll tell you my problem with Mr. Modi. He talks a lot, but say, for instance, just to shift a bit, he says in Haryana, I will only talk about development and not caste. Yet he feels about nearly over 30 candidates who are Jats. Then he gets the Dera Sacha Sauda to swing the vote for him. That's playing politics of caste, isn't it? You say one thing, but you do another. You market one thing, you do another.
No, I don't think so. Number one, you have, see, as a political party, we have to have a representation from different castes. We cannot completely wish away the realities of politics. We cannot, this is a state where caste had been a dominant factor.
But so then to say in this case, state caste is not going to be my USP, it's going to
no,
be...
see, if you make your development flank, if you make your development priorities partisan and you try and develop some caste in order to develop a vote bank, I think you can accuse him of practicing caste politics. Here, in a political, in a competitive environment, you have to represent different castes in your electoral composition to be able to reach out to the entire audience.
In India, can we go above caste politics? Because the nature of the fabric is such.
The whole of the freedom struggle was based upon recognizing that identities exist, but attempting to rise above these identities by according recognition to the identities, but not allowing those identities to overwhelm the process. Now, in the case of Mahatma Gandhi, and I can't think of a more important personality or a more influential personality, he said that sanitation is more important than independence. There was a huge emphasis on sanitation. In his personal life there was, when he cleaned up his mess himself and made his wife do the same thing. Only last year, just one Independence Day ago, Manmohan Singh spoke about the Nirmal Bharat Abhiyan, which is exactly the same thing. So what I would like is for Mr. Modi to recognize that he is part of a continuum, and that yes, it's a good thing if he wants to give it another special momentum, but to somehow pretend that it's all springing Swayambhu from his own head. It is that kind of politicization of important development and social development matters that I object to.
But then Manmohan Singh says it versus the
comment,
Modi
because
saying
on
it.
the day Swachh Abhiyan was launched, Prime Minister Modi, he gave credit to all the previous governments. In fact, he said this is not political agenda. I do not treat this as an agenda of my party or to further my party's interests. This is a continuum. This is what he said.
But
this
to be
is
fair,
not a political
when a
program.
Manmohan says it or a
Entirely in
Modi
the
says it,
presence of his own people.
No. There was a general public attending
but
that
not
major
a political
rally.
public. And there was no recognition of, there was not even a mention of the total sanitation campaign, which his own mentor, Vajpayee, had started in 1999.
No, the Congress
All of
party
the Nirmal
expects
Bharat
Mr. Modi.
Abhiyan.
You see, even
so if you don't acknowledge that there is a process of attempting to solve it, that a huge amount of progress is being made. I've just received a letter from Smriti Irani saying that the Prime Minister has said this and therefore give girls' toilets in schools under the MP Lads program. So I've replied to her that for the last 20 years, I have been building girls' toilets in schools. I do not need the Prime Minister's instructions to do the right thing.
Jay, do you need the Prime Minister's instructions to build toilets in your constituency?
No, in fact, I think anybody who's interested in a better India is cognizant that one of the silver bullet solutions which can solve many things beyond the immediate is toilets for girls in schools, because educated girls leads to a lot of other things. It leads to population stability, it leads to many other things. But I think, the bigger issue of this debate that you are having today, I think something is called for. For several years, I've been saying, and I think it's been commented upon by many people, is that at state and regional levels, you've been seeing a change of narrative of politicians who have been winning elections on the basis of governance, whereas that was not happening at a national level.
Moving towards
You've seen politicians from regional parties, from BJP, from Congress, I'm talking of chief minister level politicians, who have in half a dozen or maybe 8 or 10 states, have repeatedly won elections, going beyond caste, going beyond identity politics, not completely ignoring it, you can't in India, but at least the overall thrust of their campaign has been on developmental issues. Now, India had not seen that in a manner that it is seeing today. So I think that change of narrative of national politics, there is a big gambit underway. How far it succeeds is worth watching.
But are you happy with the message from Haryana, Dilip? Do you think this change is going on?
I think if you look at how Modi has changed the political narrative, the big thing is that he's also learned how to take the momentum of things forward. Clearly the people of Haryana were fed up to the gills with public corruption and with the kind of structure of that government. And I think that by cutting out caste and by making sure he didn't necessarily project a particular kind of caste as the rulers, he made sure that he got everybody on. Whether he used the Dera Sacha Sauda or not politically is only part of tactics. That's not part of his larger strategy. I think in terms of tactics, a general ought to deploy whatever is necessary at a time of war. I think there is a huge impulse of young people to drop all these issues that that we all constantly think is fundamental to politics.
That's the message that goes out from yesterday's verdict, particularly from Haryana, where BJP had traditionally been a very weak force. We got something like 9%
You don't even have a chief ministerial face. Yeah.
No, that besides the point. We could still win elections without even in a strong state. But here was a state where we have never secured 10% votes on our own. And today we are looking at about 34%, a four-fold rise in vote share for a party on primarily issues of development, progress. People have voted because they truly believed that here is a leader at the national level who is promising change, who is promising development. Let's give it a chance.
Mani, what is your answer to Haryana?
Will you please tell me whether Dr. Manmohan Singh ever ran on a caste platform? Did Sonia Gandhi ever take it up? Did Rajiv Gandhi ever take it up? Didn't Indira Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru, and going back further, Mahatma Gandhi, always attempt a narrative other than that of the caste, but with a recognition that caste is an Indian reality? After all, what was the central element of Mahatma Gandhi's social program? It was the abolition of untouchability. And it was an amazing achievement that something that had existed for 5,000 years, we have so substantially succeeded in removing it over a period of 50 years. Now, I don't think there was a narrative of development that was faulted, because objectively speaking, in terms of the economic statistics and the social indicators, both Maharashtra and Haryana were among the best governed states in India. Where it went wrong was that in both states, there were serious charges of corruption.
Exactly.
So I'm willing to accept that the Congress lost the elections. But to suggest that the BJP won it because they had an alternative narrative, that I don't accept, because their narrative was the same as our narrative, but at the moment, because they're not ruling, they've been in power only for 5 months, their claim that they will give an honest government is accepted. But just look at Karnataka, what happened over there. They lost power exactly on the same grounds. So what the lesson I learned from all this is it doesn't matter how good a development program you have, it doesn't matter how excellently you run the administration, it doesn't even matter how well you do in Panchayat Raj. If at the end of the day, your name is blackened by the acts of corruption of your ministers, then you've had it. The izzat of a people is affected, and they are not going to vote for corruption under any circumstances, except in Tamil Nadu, where they do vote for corruption.
No, the
Tamil Nadu is really
topic,
the-
the two state elections, I think I would tend to disagree to the extent that you say this is primarily a negative vote against, negative mandate against the Congress. I think that's completely missing the point. Because in both the states, the BJP had never been the principal opponent. In Haryana, we were struggling at distant number 3. For us to come back into the reckoning and win an election and pushing everybody else behind is purely on the promise of development, on the promise of governance, and some signs of which people have already
an interesting
seen
point,
in the
yes.
center.
In fact, it also
Excellent
helps.
People have seen us
conveying
at the center
promises.
performing.
also
The
helps-
excellent conveying promises.
No, we have delivered
The
in
record-
center.
The delivery in Karnataka is standing proof.
No,
that it
Karnataka, I
takes
think
a
I will have a separate
Yediyurappa
discussion with you on
entirely
Karnataka.
on the basis of caste.
It was purely
and-
a self-goal by the BJP. Because
Well,
had
there
we
you
not
go, that's
split,
all I'm
no,
saying.
no, so
It
we
was
have
a-
not lost public support. Had we not been split in Karnataka,
Yeah, and
had
you-
we been politically maybe sagacious, I think we would have delivered, we would have won Karnataka.
Yeah,
also.
but
Yeah,
on
wants
the
to
other
comment on
hand,
this.
it just shows that there is nothing inherent in the BJP which makes them the champion of development and totally against caste. The fact of the matter is the Karnataka story is a filthy story of caste plus corruption.
But there's one Karnataka versus so many other states.
No, that's what we can take other
And-
states.
and in any
You mean
case,
they
you are
haven't
talking
lost
about
in Delhi?
example
They didn't
of-
lose in Delhi in 1999.
Of pre-19
They lost in Delhi in 1998, sorry, entirely because of charges of misgovernance and corruption.
No,
there.
we are talking
So there
about
are
the
plenty
current
You
of-
have a
narrative.
recent Delhi loss on almost the same grounds.
2014, we
Sorry?
are in
I
2014
said you have a
today.
recent loss in Delhi on
No,
almost
no, we
the
may
same
have a
grounds.
recent loss, but the idea that somehow Mr. Modi or the BJP has a narrative that constitutes an alternative politics, as your pompous title of this program shows, I think that's what I want. That's the bubble I want to
No, the
break.
title is there for anyone to grab it. So
I
far,
think-
Modi seems to be the
I
claimant.
think,
huh?
look, let me tell you where I agree and disagree with what's just been talked about. I think Mr. Iyer is right that today the new government has a credibility because it's new. It's only 5 months, so people don't know how it's going to perform. They believe their words, their promises. And if you compare with the last 2 or 3 years of the UPA government, they had so totally lost their credibility that whatever they said was disbelieved by the public. Even when they said reasonable things, when they said this is how we need to fix the economy, it was just the political capital had vanished because of the corruption, because of the failed promises.
she's conceding,
No,
huh?
so I agree. Now, the point is, if this government does not live up to its promises, if it goes 4, 5, 6, 7 years with the same kind of track record, in the 7th year, these promises will not be believed. So he's right. Today, these promises, it's only natural that the promises of a newly elected government with the mandate of the people having political capital will be believed. But it's not a fact that just because you end up spending 5 or 7 years, you lose credibility. Yesterday, there was a by-election in Odisha as well, where my party, the BJD, won massively, won with a higher margin than we had won only 5 months ago. And this is a government that's been in place for 15 years. So it's because despite 15 years in government, when Naveen Patnaik makes a promise, it is believed, it's credible because he has delivered, he's got a track record. The point I was trying to make is that if you look at the past 15 years, I don't want to just talk about my party. You've had BJP chief ministers, you've had Congress chief ministers, you've had other regional party chief ministers who have built that kind of a track record. It is just at the national level that we have not seen somebody have a track record of a dozen years where his or her promises are still believed. So let's see how this government
No,
pans
it's
out.
the,
Absolutely
the,
right.
the excuse
The
of
Congress
anti-incumbency.
party-
The Congress party lost the plot in the year 2010, beginning with the Commonwealth Games
This is
and
UPA too.
continuing right through to Pavan Bansal. Day after day after day, there was a story. And although there were refutations made, they were made so late that after the figure 1,76,000 crore had been graven into everyone's mind, suddenly Kapil Sibal ups and says it's zero loss. If he had said that on day one and explained why he said it, there might have been credibility. We were neither quick on the uptake, nor were we convincing in giving our reply. And when 4 ministers turn up at the airport to receive Baba Ramdev, well, at that point, to hope that we will win is impossible.
But I did want to
But,
add, it's the one thing I forgot to mention is that, is there a substantive difference in the policies of this government? I think with the initial evidence available in 5 months, there is.
There is. I was going to say it's UPA
Yes, there
3.
is. It is not UPA 3. You look at the
Modi is
stand
not
they're
Manmohan
taking.
Singh in a without a turban.
Well, I don't think anybody in their wildest dreams will confuse Manmohan Singh for Narendra Modi. It's still early days. There's been no big bang reforms, but clearly
No,
in
but-
economic output, the messages that are coming out have the potential of being a very different kind of government.
Dilip, can I bring you in? Do you agree with Jay? I'm disagreeing with him also.
You know, I think the messaging of this government is different. The timing of 5 months is too early. But
we haven't heard any big bang,
Where we are seeing a very interesting difference is that on what Narasimha just said, that both the states don't have an obvious chief minister, and yet people repose faith. I think Mr. Modi is actually playing with a whole new paradigm. He's going to actually appoint or anoint chief ministers there who are going to be part of a Modi team, an extended Modi team. So in a sense, it is a
Extended
different...
Modi team means weak people like Anandi Ben. You know, we
I'm-
only had.
I don't think Anandi Ben is a good example of a Modi team player, as you can see. But I am sure that the people who are going to be chosen now are going to be people who will drive this development agenda, because he knows that he doesn't have 5 years to prove himself. He has barely 1 year. And if in February 2015 he doesn't deliver a big bag budget, for example, he's going to be really pilloried, because the people are impatient and time frames have shortened. And the young who have voted for him are not going to vote for
Why
very
do you
long.
say this is a new paradigm? We've had this paradigm since Nehru's day, Indira Gandhi's time, Rajiv's time. Perhaps in recent years we haven't been able to be
We're
quite
only
so
talking in the
successful.
last 5 years.
No, I am not talking in the last 5 years. Because 5 years ago, the same team won 65 seats more than it had won in 2009. So, I mean, this new pop sociology and pop psychology, that somehow India has dramatically changed in the last 5 years, that Modi has caught on to it and the Congress hasn't, is rubbish. The fact is the country remains exactly the same. It's we who lost the plot. And now we'll have to recover it. It's going to be a long, hard slog. I don't believe it'll happen overnight. But if the syndrome remains the same as ours, if this heavy centralization continues, then I think we're going to be coming back much sooner than I have any reason to believe today.
I think the
Mania
Congress
happier
is,
Diwali soon.
No, Congress is hoping that they will be able to really stage a comeback because some mistakes will be made. I have said this on 17th of May. I say it today. Again, it sounds very pompous. But Mr. Modi is not a leader who makes grave mistakes. He will never make mistakes. He knows what is the implication of each of his actions. He will not make mistakes. 5 months is not a short term. You might think 5 months is a short window, but people of the country are putting him under scanner. The media is putting him under scanner all through the last 150 days. So he is a leader who knows what is to be done, how is it to be done. He doesn't really, he's not here to only please certain interests,
It's such
certain
hero worship
economic.
that will be the end of the man.
Look,
No, he
again,
knows what is the agenda.
I keep coming back to only partially agreeing with Mr. Iyer. When he said that it was the Congress that lost the plot, that much was clear, that's evident. But that's not the entire story. It is true that the Congress made self-goals, as have other parties in state levels and all that. But clearly there is a different narrative. And whether we recognize it or not around such tables, the people of India clearly recognize it. You are seeing the vote patterns change. Now, whether this change of narrative is going to be sustained, whether it is going to mean a different kind of politics and economics, I think the indications are there. We have to wait and see how it pans out. Now, when Mr. Iyer says that this is nothing new, this has existed before, he's again partly right. If you look at it in one way, Mr. Modi is a right of center Indira Gandhi. You had an Indira Gandhi who was a left of center leader, and she was this kind of a dominating leader. This is what he's, it looks like he's becoming, but he's clearly not left of center. So there is a difference.
And
I'll
that
give you
is
the
where
final
I
word.
think
I'll
he's
give
going to
Dilip the
trip
final.
himself up. because what Jay approves of, because he's right of center, is precisely what I disapprove of because I'm left of center. And the criticism, every single trade union in this country, every single trade union grouping has got together and denounced what has been announced, either proposed as labor reforms back in September or announced as labor reforms, I think yesterday or day before. Equally, the environmentalists are up in arms that this so-called facilitating business means, to take up Dilip's point, wrecking the ecology of the country. That is very, very dangerous. So we'll see. In a democracy, every action produces a reaction. So I don't think there is a prescribed format in which right action is determined. Action is determined, reaction is equally certain.
Dilip, I'll let you sum it up. Are we heading? Yeah.
I think we are heading for new times. I recognize what Mani is saying, that the sweep of history is much broader than that can be contained by one man, however well-intentioned he may be. However, we also have to recognize that this is one man who carries no burdens in terms of management at the central government, in terms of right or left. He's going to make the appropriate left-wing noises from time to time. He's definitely not going to believe that yoga is going to clean up the environment. He knows that it's a way of thinking and it's an altered paradigm he has to play with. He's also recognizing that the continued pattern of reliance on FDI, for example, is something that this country, which is capital short, needs. So he's recognizing the ground reality, the needs to extend the past, but he's also going to change some things in the present. For example, the way he's aggressively appointing key bureaucrats is an interesting story which deserves a separate program perhaps.
Okay, but that's all we have time for now. Thank you so much for watching this edition of Story Unfolds. We leave you with this and wish you a very happy festive season.